Nicole Lampert is a journalist and campaigner with the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism and joins us now. Good morning to you, Nicole.
Hi, thank you for having me on today,
Thank
Julia.
you so much, and I follow your Twitter feed, and it is absolutely extraordinary what we have seen on social media, what we've seen on our streets, on university campuses and the like. Just run us through some of the things that people thought it was appropriate to do on the anniversary of the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust.
Well, at almost every university, we've had people outside screaming, celebrating, calling for more Intifada. It should be said that, you know, these claim to be pro-Palestinian people, but they're quite the opposite, because if they were pro-Palestinians, they would be calling for peace. You don't hear any call for peace. You hear for calls for Intifada, revolution, more war. We've had that outside universities. We've had that in the streets of London. We've had it almost non-stop, haven't we, for the last 2 years. We saw it in particular after the murders in Manchester. And of course, on October 7, the anniversary of the massacre in Israel, we've seen this particular joy in it. And that's all I can really describe as, in that they are happy about it. They are happy about what happened. And they'll either deny what happened, or they'll say Israel did it to themselves.
Yeah.
And this is a way of trying to take over our pain, pretend it didn't happen. Yeah. And claim that there's no reason for this war. And we've seen, even, you know, with some media organisations almost trying to forget about what happened. With the BBC, they put out a statement about the coverage of the war, and talked about not an invasion but an escalation.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is extraordinary that it's happening, and I see it whenever I post stuff online now. I get, I'm a Gaza, genocide baby killer. I'm taking £7,000 for every posting. I mean, you and I are making an absolute fortune if that's the case, are we not, Nicole? Yeah, exactly. If only. But also, again, deny that it happened. Or well, they deliberately they wanted it to happen, and everybody at Nova Festival was actually killed by Israeli forces. I mean, all of this stuff is provably untrue. All of it is provably. The evidence is there. We know what happened on the day because Hamas sodding filmed it and put it on social media themselves. They weren't ashamed of it. At least the Nazis had the decency to be ashamed and trying to do it behind closed doors when they were killing Jews. This lot, they're literally like proud as punch about it. And even people like, I mean, not just, I can sort of almost write off idiot students, who think the world's about to die because of climate change, and that Jews are the cause of every problem. I mean, these are evil, awful people. If they're foreign students, I want them out tomorrow. If they're British students, I want them re-educated. I'll bring them in the studio and explain to them some facts. But when you get a doctor, we've got an NHS doctor, Dr. Rama Al-Adwan. She works at the Royal Free Hospital. It's a Jewish area. It's in Hampstead. Okay? It's a very famous hospital. I was there the other week with an elderly relative. The idea that I would be treated by this woman, or any of my Jewish friends would be treated by this woman, is absolutely appalling. She tweeted yesterday, "Glory to the breaking of the 17-year-long illegal siege." I mean, illegal siege. I mean, glory to the Palestinian resistance. Glory to our martyrs. And the Al-Aqsa flood, Palestine, Gaza, and then a heart. And with the picture, we've got it up there, with the picture of one of the diggers that broke through the fence between Gaza and Palestine to allow murderous, raping, hostage-taking terrorists through to slaughter innocent people. She's still employed by the NHS. She's allowed to treat patients paid for by the taxpayer. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, she's not working at the Royal Free anymore.
Well, thank God for that.
I'm not sure where she's working, but a few weeks ago, the GMC, they did attempt to have her licence suspended, and she was put before a medical tribunal. And the medical tribunal, and this obviously what she said yesterday is something else, but she's been saying this sort of stuff for months. They said that this was down to her free speech. So that is the extent, and it did lead to Wes Streeting a couple of weeks ago saying there's a problem within the NHS. But
yeah, well then
he's
sort
the
it
guy in
out.
charge.
Yeah,
he's the guy in charge. But actually, this week I've been investigating some of the root causes of this sort of language and what's happening. I wrote a piece in the Telegraph. I'm going to do a kind of version on my Substack, and it's about what we're seeing in our society and how anti-Semitism drives societies crazy.
Yeah.
And this is a kind of Soviet ideology, and that's what we're seeing on our streets. So Zionism is therefore everything that's bad in the world is Zionism. Zionism is apartheid, it's genocide, all of these things that we know anyone can look at and see is not true.
Yeah.
And so this isn't just about Jews, this is about destabilizing our society.
And I think a lot of people don't get that. I say this is a rot at the heart of Western societies, Western civilization and our liberal democratic values. But also, again, people not realizing how much this is being pushed by, the Russian bots, by the Chinese bots, by the Iranian bots. This is a multi-million pound operation. We're told, oh no, the Israelis are paying all these influences. If Israel, which is a pretty functioning state and certainly has a very, very well functioning military and spy network, if they were paying people to do their PR for them internationally, they'd have been doing a better job of it. In the same way that if they wanted to impose a genocide on people in Gaza, they'd have managed to do it in the last 2 years. I mean, this is the thing.
That's the most obvious thing, isn't
Uniquely incompetent in these two areas.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. If they wanted to commit a genocide, then why aren't they? Even the most obvious, it's just the most obvious thing, isn't it? And it's very tragic that thousands of people have been killed in this war. But a genocide is something completely different. If Israel wanted to commit a genocide, it would have done it on October 8th. There would be no Palestinians left in Gaza because it has the military capability to do that. But still, these lies, they're pushed. And the interesting thing is that they're pushed via Hamas to the UN and then repeated on the BBC and all these channels, and then it's repeated and repeated and repeated, and people say, oh, but the UN said it.
And the BBC said it. But again, even like words like just genocide, the British government formally, put out an official document. They'd assessed whether there was genocide. They decided there was not genocide because there isn't. There clearly isn't, and every single fact would tell you there isn't genocide being committed by Israel in Gaza. But you can't get a cabinet minister to say that, because they know they've got a vote here. I mean, it's a numbers game. I wrote this in The Sun last week. It's a numbers game. 4 million Muslims in this country, large number of whom feel very strongly about the Gaza issue. We saw that with the election last year, 5 Gaza MPs, and then you've got, 300,000 plus Jews in this country, or less than that. There you go. There's your numbers. It's as simple as that. This is a numbers game as opposed to being on the side of right or wrong. But when you can I come back to just universities? Because I am so horrified by what's happening at universities. And I know 18-year-olds, Jewish girls, who've basically been talked out of going to certain universities because they know they won't feel safe there, even though it's of course they want to study at a good university, but they cannot be guaranteed, particularly London campuses, they cannot be guaranteed to be safe. The intimidation is so strong. That is so beyond unacceptable to me in this country, in this day and age. What can universities do about it? Or are the university authorities part of the problem?
They're massively part of the problem. I've been speaking to a group of academics, in particular in Edinburgh, who are absolutely despairing that even just on university property, there are signs calling for revolution, Intifada, and they've tried to take it down, and the university authorities completely deny it.
Yeah, and Intifada means the mass killing of Jews. That's what it means.
Exactly. So there are some universities that are handling it better, and I have to say, so Leeds, where my son is and where I went, they were pretty awful for about 18 months that students took over entire buildings. Yesterday, what happened was, although you had students outside the building, they were kettled by the police and weren't allowed to kind of cause terror amongst the many students. But you're absolutely right that there have always been universities that Jews will tend to go towards because they're regarded as safer. Even when I was at university, this was the case.
But that's
the Jewish Society. And this is kind of what I'm saying, that this is although we're seeing like the height of the problem now, what we're seeing is 30, 40 years of work that has been going on. So when I was at university, and you probably, Julia, there were people that were starting this, that were going on about Israel being an apartheid.
No, genuinely, never saw any of it. Never saw. I mean, I'm probably older than you, to be fair. This has happened since then. Nicole, I'm going to have to leave you there. You keep up with the fantastic work. Do have a look at her Substack, that Telegraph article. Journalist campaigner with the campaign against anti-Semitism, Nicole Lampert. Thank you so much for joining us.